Before we get started, I'd like to encourage you to hit that subscribe button. We put out geeky content every week, and if you'd like to be ahead of the curve, you can also hit the bell icon. Hi guys, welcome to Hydra Collectables, where we let our geek flag fly. My name's Luke and I'm your host, and today we're doing Ores with Flaws, but once again, I am not alone, no. My Ores with Flaws co-host is here once more, Peter from Triple G Comics. Peter, how are you doing today?
Very well, mate. How are you?
I'm very good, thank you. Got a little bit of a different setup going on here with a very old microphone, but technically new for my whole YouTube setup. So fingers crossed it works. So Ores with Flaws. What are Ores with Flaws? Well, it's quite simple, really. They are comic books that are awe-inspiring to look at, things that we all want to own within our personal collection. However, there is ever so slight things wrong with them. So there are going to be no 9.8s shown here today. So we're going to kick things off with 5 books each, and I'm going to hand over to Peter to show his first book.
Cheers, Luke. So since we've done this last video, I've gone through my collection and picked up quite a few of the Ores with Flaws books that I've got. I have to say, I love the idea. I hadn't really appreciated how some of my books do have issues with them, because it is quite easy to become focused on, like you say, the above 9.8, sorry, 9.8, 9.6 is all that kind of stuff. So I've got some nice ones to show you today, I think, and I'm going to start off with a fairly recent pickup, which is Conan the Barbarian, #1. Tremendous book. I just absolutely love that cover. I think it's absolutely amazing. Is it Barry Windsor Smith, I think? Is that right? Can't remember who's done the cover for it. I'm sure someone will tell, but absolutely amazing book. I've just picked up a homage to the cover for a series called Berserker. I don't think have you seen that one? Brilliant series.
The anyway. Berserker is the Keanu Reeves one, right?
No, it's the wrong one. So that's not what I've picked up. I'm talking rubbish. It's not Berserker, it's Barbaric, which is an amazing series about a guy whose axe talks to him and gets drunk on blood, as you do. But yeah, pick this one up. Love the character. It's in okay condition for a book of its age. It's got some damage to the you can see some creasing there, some damage down the back here. The back's relatively clean. It's just a stunning cover. I think it's an iconic cover. So love that one. We'll probably get it graded. I'm no grader in terms of being able to guess grades and things, but I would hope it comes back probably around a 6 or a 7 maybe. But yeah, so that's Conan the Barbarian, #1. Of course, the problem with owning this book is I now feel like I need to own the first appearance of Red Sonja as well. So I'll have to be on the hunt for that one. But yeah, that's Conan.
Yeah, no, an amazing book, and one that was a personal grail of mine for a really long time. In fact, I just picked it up last year in 2021. Conan the Barbarian was always a grail of mine purely because of my dad. So when I was collecting comics, my dad would always tell me about his brother Brian, who had loads and loads of comics growing up as a child and went over to America and had all these different books and used to love drawing. He used to draw Conan most of all. And so having that kind of drummed into me every time I showed my dad a new comic book, I kind of set out to want to go and get that and have it within my collection. And like I say, I did have it. In fact, I almost showed it today as well. Mine's much lower than yours, Peter. Mine's probably around a grade 2, maybe a 2.5 at a push. But it's what I could afford, because at the time of me actually venturing to look for one, they were selling for around £200 in like low to mid grade. Then there was all this hype about a potential new series coming to Netflix, I believe. And all of a sudden, just the prices skyrocketed. So I was very lucky to find one again down the line that I think I paid about 180 for. And like I say, it's probably about a grade 2, 2.5. So not exactly what I wanted to pay for, or not exactly the grade that I wanted, but still something truly amazing to have within my collection.
I mean, I think that's a really interesting point, look, to be honest, because a lot of, as you know, and anybody that watches my channel knows that I predominantly collect first appearances. But those first appearances are extremely expensive, as you've just described. And I'm of the mindset that I want the book that is the first appearance. So I'm not particularly concerned what the grade may be. So it's just that owning the first appearance, you know, and probably, as you've just described again, owning something like, for example, an X-Men 1, I'm going to have to settle for the lowest possible grade ever, but I'll still have it at one point, I think, you know?
Yeah, no, absolutely. So keeping with the barbaric nature, you know, you've gone for Conan the Barbarian there. My first pick is a first appearance as well. The first appearance of She-Hulk. Now, I absolutely love this book, and I couldn't care less that it's a grade 4. I know that even in a grade 9.4, 9.6, even a 9.8, they're not that expensive. I think that's a true disservice as well. And it's not just because the new Netflix series is coming out, but also She-Hulk is a #1 book, an issue #1, a first appearance, and it's a comic written by Stan Lee. I don't think this book gets anywhere near the amount of credit that it deserves. This is a true rare piece to own in any grade, even if you had a 0.5. I don't unfortunately know what is wrong with this book. I've looked up the CGC notes. I can't see anything wrong with it. And I'll actually throw up a picture here so you guys can see there isn't really much wrong with this book at all. I just don't know what's inside. I could break this open, have a look. There could be some nasty coffee stains or folded pages within. I just don't know. And without the notes, there's just no telling. So as far as I'm concerned, I'm not going to crack a slab. I never crack slabs. Although saying that, my last book of today, I'm very tempted, but we'll get to that soon. So my first book to show is She-Hulk issue #1.
Stunning, absolutely lovely book.
I've just noticed, Peter, I've been holding it up and it's right there in front of my microphone. I've got to do it on this side, haven't I? I've got to swap it around.
I was going to wait until you'd finished and then mention. I'm not sure if you were filming on another camera as well, Luke. But
yeah. I am filming on another camera, so maybe we can switch.
But that's a lovely book. I've got a copy of that as well. And I think that's, you know, for those people that collect books to watch the prices increase, I think that'll take a big jump when the Netflix, not Netflix, the Disney Plus show comes out.
Absolutely.
But yeah, another lovely book. And for a major character, you're right, it's not really got a big price attached to it, I don't think, which is
so
strange.
the thing is that it did happen eventually with Daredevil. You know, that book started to climb and skyrocket, being an issue #1 written by Stan Lee. And I do think that this one has a lot of room to grow. And if I was sensible, I would go out and buy another copy. However, for me personally, like you're saying about these low grade books, I just want to own the book. And now that I own one, there's another character that I can get moving forward. So it's very unlikely that I'm going to buy another one.
Yeah, there were some really interesting images on I think it was Facebook or YouTube earlier this week. Who was the actress who played Red Sonja and was married to Arnold Schwarzenegger? Is it Bridget Nielsen?
Oh, I don't know.
I think Bridget Nelson or something like that. But apparently they'd filmed some promo shots for a She-Hulk series back in the early 80s with her in it. And they had some images of her in costume. It was atrocious, absolutely atrocious. But yeah, great character, great book. So before it was cool and before it hit the kind of the public knowledge, I suppose it were, I really enjoyed Guardians of the Galaxy. That was a series I really liked, particularly these Guardians, people who you probably won't have recognized as big players in the MCU movies, although some of them were featured in the last film, I think, at the very end with Sylvester Stallone. So yeah, this is Guardians of the Galaxy, first appearance, Marvel superheroes, with one of my favorite characters, Van Strovic, who becomes Major Victory, I believe, and gets Captain America's shield in the future series. So yeah, picked this up a while ago. Interestingly, it's not an expensive book, really. It's not a one that's shot up in value because of the movies, or anything. Probably because the characters don't really feature in them. Although that is Yondu, who's in the films. This is one of those old square-bound books, so really thick spines to them, which you'll be able to say that better, which really fracture at the corners and things. So it's not good, Nick. It's got a big chip missing out of the corner there. It's got creases, it's got stress to the edges, stress to the edge up here. Back cover isn't the best. There's some damage down here again. And like I say, that spine fractures at the top and the bottom, really. But it's the first Guardians. And like I've just said, it's the first appearance. So I don't mind what grade it's in. It's a nice book to have. No cutouts or anything missing from this one either. So that's first appearance of Guardians. Does also have, just noticed there, it has either a date or a price stamp. Don't know if you can see that on the top. But yeah, nice book.
Guardians of the Galaxy, yeah. I remember when they first announced and everyone was like, who are they? But I knew that book that you are showing. I knew that exact one. And I was quite surprised, actually, that they went with the newer team. They went with a different team. It makes you wonder, doesn't it, moving forward, whether or not people are still going to care about the original Avengers book, because obviously that was a slightly different team as well. And I do believe that that has since dropped down in price after the Infinity Saga. Where it will go moving forward, I have no idea. And which next Avengers book is going to be the big one, who's to say? I mean, I know a lot of people are banking on the Young Avengers, but it's got a really high print run and there's a lot out there. I mean, I sold my one of those as soon as that show was announced. So you know what? You couldn't lie about this. Like, you've shown 2 books and I've managed to kind of segue them both. And it's almost as if we planned it, but we haven't mentioned this at all. You've just shown Guardians of the Galaxy. Now, my second book was meant to be a segue from my previous book of She-Hulk. However, it combines them both together. So my next book is The Incredible Hulk King Size Annual. And yeah, this is basically the, I want to say, second appearance of Groot.
Yeah.
I am right, aren't I? It is the second appearance. So yeah, I love all these monster characters that go along with the Hulk so beautifully. We've got the Zemo, the Titan, we've got the creature called Goom, Taboo, Blip, all these classic Marvel monsters, if you can really call it Marvel monsters. They kind of come from the Atlas days before Marvel was Marvel. I think even Zemu was actually originally called Hulk. That was his original name. So a lot of people refer to them as like prototype characters. I don't think that's true. I don't think that you can call the prototypes anything what they eventually became. These are separate characters that have been brought back into the Marvel universe since their creation back in the Atlas days. But yeah, this is one of my favorite books. It is a newsstand edition, but it is pretty well worn. It's not in the best of condition, but there we have it. So again, completely by chance, we managed to tie it all together. So
well, I don't think I've got that one. Look, I went through a phase because I am a bit of a completist as well when I start on something. So I went through trying to get all of the first appearances of the Guardians and things like that. And I went for Groot, but his first appearance is, I think, is it Monsters That Dwell or one of those?
So early... Monsters That Dwell is a reprint. Right. So you have where monsters dwell, or there's different ones that are reprints. The one that you're referring to, I think, is Tales to Astonish. I'm not sure the exact number, but that is the one that skyrocketed.
All I know is scene price.
That's one that's actually held its price surprisingly as well. I think there is a lot of love for that character.
And also that cover there, the character you just mentioned, is it Zemo? Yeah. Herb in the Immortal Hulk run.
Yes.
Isn't that quite a lot? And it's a very, very good run of books. So my next one is a one I've maybe shown before on another show. And it's just rough as anything. So again, it's another recent pickup. Again, it's got that price stamp that you like. This is an X-Men 12. First appearance of Juggernaut. Picked this one up not so long ago. Lovely character. Nice book to have in your collection. I think with X-Men hitting the MCU, it's a one that's got some room to continue to rise in value as well. But this is a rough copy. Look, this is, you can see there's damage to the corner down here. The spine is rolled and it's got a lot of stress on it, a lot of issues there. Top corner has got a nasty dent to it and some flaking away. Yeah, it's just not a pretty book, but it's another key first appearance, another book that I'm very pleased to have in my collection. And it's got, and I don't know if you do this, Luke, and this might be slightly disturbing for the viewers, but it's got that old comic scent. Do you know what I mean? It's like got
absolutely. That... I 100% get what you mean. I love the smell of books. One of the things that I love the most, one of the reasons why I prefer to have older books as opposed to newer books is because of the way they smell. It's one of the reasons why I don't necessarily like reading my books on a tablet computer. I like feeling them in my hands. I like the smell of them. It's strange, but I'm sure we are not alone. As you guys know, as Peter knows, I love yellow covers. But immediately after yellow covers, I love red covers. And that is one awesome looking red cover book. So yeah, great book, Pete.
Nice one. So
sticking with yellows and reds. See, this is amazing. I'm managing to segue this every time. Completely fluke. So I'm going to go a little bit away from superheroes for this one. So this is a classic comic book, and that's the name of the actual printers or the series that it came from, Classic Comics. This is issue number 13, and this is the first comic book appearance of Dr. Jekyll and Mr. Hyde, one of my all-time favorite fictional characters, and the reason why so many Marvel characters really tick those boxes for me, whether it be the Incredible Hulk, the Lizard, the Green Goblin, even Venom. These characters all have that split personality, that, you know, mixed feelings between two entities trapped within one body. And it all stems from this amazing story by Robert Louis Stevenson. So yeah, I absolutely love this. Very well worn, very much loved. I want to say Golden Age. It must be, you know, I'm sure it's from like 1940s or something. It's a very old book. But I was so thankful to finally get one of these in my collection. There are some reprints out there which have slightly different pence numbers written on there, or cent numbers. And there's also, I think the second print, the only difference is the back cover. So always look out for that and make sure that if you are hunting a first appearance of these classic monsters, that you check those out. But this is the first appearance of Dr. Jekyll and Mr. Hyde.
I love that cover art, Luke. Just hold that up again for us to... Yeah. I mean, that's tremendous. I really like that. Nice. Very nice. So my next one is Werewolf by Night, number 33, which is the second appearance of Moon Knight. Picked this one up from a local comic shop not so long ago. Really nice book to have again. Again, you know, Moon Knight's coming to Disney Plus, so bit of room on this one. Nice copy. It's got some paint ticks. It's got some spine ticks down the side there, and there's a bit of rubbing here. But what really winds us up about this book, and this really grinds my gears, is one, and we've got another show about this, but it's a pence copy, which I don't mind for this book. But at some point, somebody has obviously been very upset about pence and has actually torn off the paper where it says pence, or I'm assuming maybe there's been a sticker on there or something. But as you can see, they've literally tried to rub off the pence image. Now, I bought this at the same time as I bought a Werewolf by Night 32, so it was both at the same time. And the Werewolf by Night 32 had exactly the same issue. Someone had tried to scrape off the pence image.
I'm hoping that it was a sticker. I'm hoping that someone put a sticker on there, that they were trying to sell it years later on the secondhand market, and put a price sticker on that unfortunately ripped the section off, because to scrape it off seems oddly weird.
Crazy, absolutely crazy. But yeah, so that's Werewolf by Night 33, second appearance of Moon Knight, with damage to the top corner, unfortunately. Other than that, like I say, a bit of spine tick and a bit of a mark on the corner there. Other than that, it's a pretty nice copy. So yeah, bit of a shame, that one.
Yeah. Is that one that you would seek out another copy to get in better grade, or are you just happy to have it?
No, I to be honest, I never really wanted that book. I bought it. It came with the Werewolf by Night 32. So that was the book I was buying. And that came as an added bonus, as it were. So it's nice to have in my collection, but it's not another book I would seek out and look for, I don't think.
Cool. Right. So again, sticking with the whole segues and linking things together, I'm going to stick with the supernatural here. I'm going back to Marvel, and I'm going back to Adventure into Fear, A Man Called Morbius, the Living Vampire, issue number 24. And this is the first appearance, or the first crossover, should we say. It's Blade outside of Tomb of Dracula, and it's the first meeting between Blade and Morbius. Now, it's my understanding, correct me if I'm wrong, maybe you know, Peter. If not, someone can let us know in the comment section below. It's my understanding that Morbius biting Blade is what triggers some of Blade's powers. So Blade appears as, you know, the half vampire within Tomb of Dracula, and he's the vampire hunter that goes around hunting the evil dead. But actually, it's after being bitten by a vampire that things start to really change for him. And I want to say it happens in this book. I want to say that it was Morbius. Please correct me if I'm wrong down in the comment section below. But yeah, I mean, the classic thing, isn't it? Like the typical thing that we're all talking about, little scratches and scrapes, little dings and dents, spine ticks. This is what makes Oz with Flaws.
Yeah, absolutely. I don't have that book, and I don't know enough of the history of Blade, to be honest. To be honest, Blade is a character that I've followed from the movies probably more than the comics, those initial Wesley Snipes movies. But as we know with any Marvel-based movies, I'm never quite sure how much of that's ground in the actual mythology of the characters in the written word, as it were.
Well, so it's my understanding that Morbius was meant to be the main bad guy for the second Blade movie, and so he was going to make a cameo appearance at the end of the first movie. And so all of these were they called Reapers, these like bad vampires, they were going to be vampires made by Morbius, because obviously his origin story is slightly different to the rest of the undead. He's a man transformed by science as opposed to the supernatural entity. So it's my understanding that that's where they were going to go, but due to certain licensing and who owns what, it just never happened. So I think there is a deleted scene out there somewhere. You might be able to find it out there on YouTube, but Morbius was going to make a cameo appearance on a rooftop in the original Blade movie.
Wow, didn't know that. And I guess just to say for anybody watching, those initial, I'm going to say 2 because I try to ignore the third film. Those initial 2 movies are absolutely amazing. Blade 2 might be one of my favorite, if you class it as an MCU movie, one of my favorite Marvel movies of all time. It's tremendous.
Did you watch the Blade series that Spike TV did, the House of Chthon?
No, I missed that one.
So I absolutely loved that series, and it took a little while. It took about 3, maybe 4 episodes, and there's only like 12 episodes in total, for me to get over the fact that it wasn't Wesley Snipes playing Blade. But it's a really good story and a really good telling, and you get a lot more of the vampire lore. You get a lot more about how they have gone around surviving all this time within our universe. I really hope that the new Blade series from Disney Plus actually shows us that and makes the vampires almost a more sympathetic character. You know, we need to see who they are and how they survive in this world.
I'll have to watch out for that, Luke, because I did miss that, because I think it was on a strange channel that I didn't have access to at the time. But I don't know if it's on Disney or Netflix or anything now. I'll hunt it out.
Well worth it.
Right. So my last one is probably I don't want to say favorite. It's probably the book that hurts us the most, but I'm just pleased to have it. And that is Journey into Mystery, first appearance of Thor. I bought this knowing it was going to be a low grade, 1.5, because it's the first appearance of Thor. I was never going to get a high grade. The book itself, you'll see it's got damage down here, some chipping to the top over here where bits of the cover are missing. So I knew that. When I bought this raw and sent it off to be graded. The thing that really upsets us about this is you'll see that grey banner at the top, which is a Cgc Conserved Grade. Now, when I bought this and when it came back from Cgc, I'd never even heard of a conserved grade. I've obviously seen the purple banner and all that kind of jazz, but never seen a grey. Basically, what this means is there's been some altercation to it to try and maintain the book in some way. So it's not a kind of a it's not a
restoration.
Yeah, it's not. It gets very confusing because, like I say, I didn't understand it. So it's not a restoration, and it's not being done to increase the value of the book as such. So basically, what this has had done to it is think at some point the staples have been replaced or cleaned. Now, what changes that from a restoration to a conservation? I haven't got a clue. I don't really understand it. And I remember at the time when I got this back being really nearly sworn your channel, look, really irritated, let's just say. And I took to Facebook and asked for people's views and things. And lots of people talked about the differences between conservation and all the rest of it. And in the end, and this is kind of the whole point of this channel, I just decided it's the first appearance of Thor and I love it. And I'm never going to get another opportunity to have this book because it's obscenely valuable. So I've grown to love it in its glory.
I'm sure there are many people that would be happy to take it off your hands if you weren't.
Yeah. And I guess the big debate I had at the time was there were some people advising, saying, what grade would it get if you removed the staples and things like that, and if you played around with it a bit more and all this kind of stuff. But I decided just to leave it as it was. And I don't think I'll ever do anything with it other than just look at it. So yeah, so that's my journey into mystery. 83, first appearance of Thor.
Well, first of all, let me just say congratulations on such an awesome book. I know how much you love Thor, and that can only be the fulfillment that I would feel if I ever got an Amazing Fantasy 15. That's like that's the prize right there. And the fact that you have one in any grade, congratulations, like it's such a good thing to have. One thing that I will say about this whole preservation of comics, that's one of the reasons why I get my book slabbed. For me, it's not about the grades, hence why I do this show. It's whether or not I want to display them, whether it be in the spinner rack there or up on the wall, or whether or not it's to preserve the book because it's no longer readable without causing damage. So I've sent many books off to be slabbed for that very reason, because they are literally falling apart in your hands. Now, all that being said, what we got to realize as collectors, and this is the same for any collectible piece, whether it's comics, toys, etc., the more pieces, the more materials that your collectible is made from, the harder it's going to be to maintain and keep around. And you look at comic books and you go, yeah, it's just paper. But when you then look at the staples and you think of like rust and paper deterioration, the sunlight bleaching it, all these different things come into it as a factor. And so the more materials your item is made from, the greater the risk. So I use toys as an example. They come on a card back with plastic that yellows. The plastic of the toy themselves, any glues or any rubber that's within the joints, any screws, all these different things. Once, the elements get in, they're going to deteriorate. And even over time, you can have a brand new, say, Star Wars figure. You can have a Star Wars figure, brand new, mint in box from the 70s, and it's all encapsulated as a 9.8 or whatever that grading system might be for toys. And you just don't know what's inside. You don't know if it's all completely deteriorated away, because no one's ever going to crack it open and have a look. So it's interesting with this hobby. For me personally, I've got books here. I think my Spider-Man issue number 8 is actually missing its staples, and I'm okay with that. The rest of the book is beautiful. Not my favorite cover, not my favorite book, but it's absolutely beautiful. And yeah, sure enough, it got downgraded. So it didn't get any like banner across the top like yours. It literally just got downgraded to a 1.8. It's not a 1.8 book, just the staples are removed.
Yeah. And you see, that's the debate I've had with myself with this book. Do you get some professional, because I couldn't do it. Do I remove the staples and see what grade it comes back as, but without hopefully a banner, or just leave it as it is? And the option, the choice I've come to is that actually I can't be chewed with that, because I can't, with a book of that size that I'm never going to buy again, I don't want to take any more risks with it. So like you say, even getting a professional to remove staples, are they going to damage it? Is it going to be brittle? I don't know. So yeah, it is, by my mind, look, the very definition of an all with flaw. It's something that is low grade, but it's a marvelous thing to have in my collection, I think.
Absolutely. I'm shocked that you even own one. I didn't even think that you did. Okay. So yeah, that's fantastic. We talk about Grails quite a lot, and I always wondered whether you had a Thor, like first appearance of Thor or not, but I never asked. So earlier in the video, I mentioned about me having a Slab book that, I was tempted to crack open, because I do actually have the notes for this one. This one has major rippling throughout, meaning water damage. And it's got a nice little score mark down the front cover. So what I believe is that someone's actually used a knife to cut something, or opened up the box or whatever it might be, and it's scored the comic. That comic is a big one. First appearance of the Punisher. And as you can see, it is a grade 3.0. And like I've said, I don't believe in cracking open cases and getting things changed, but I've always been tempted with this one. Always been tempted, just because I know a clean and a press will really sort out that rippling effect on the pages. So, I'm not against sending the book exactly like this and just telling CGC to do it all themselves. Clean it, press it, have the banner back, know the grade, because that's the other thing as well. I think the census at CGC is really flawed, because the number of people that get books back, crack them open and send them back in again, there's no telling how many books are on that census. There's no telling how many of them are genuine. But yeah, this one in particular, it's always kind of been there with me. I paid £300 for it about 3 years ago. And even at a grade 3, it's a pricey book now. I think this sells for very much close to a grand. And I reckon at least with a clean and a press, that will get at least a bump. That will go up to a 4. But I just don't know. Again, I'm not looking to sell anything. This is part of my collection. I'm a collector of passion. And to send this off and be without it for what, close to over a year now, I think the waiting times with CGC. I just don't know if I want to let it out of my collection for that long. It's hard. What would you guys do? Let us know in the comment section below.
What else did the grader notes say on it, Luke?
So the grader notes literally just say rippling throughout. And then, yeah, it's got this score mark, which I don't think you can see. I'll put up a clearer picture. There's a score mark just going all the way down, made by a Stanley blade knife.
Is it a score or a crease?
No, it is a score. The page, like you could hold it open and see through the book. You see through the page. And I only know that because of the person who sent it off to get graded, the person who I bought it from. So they told me that's what it was. It doesn't say that on the grader's notes. That was just from the person who sold me the book.
I was wondering if it was going to be a subscriber crease, because they used to fold the books in half, didn't they?
Yeah, no, I wish it was, because you could press that out.
Well, I'm torn on that one, Luke, because I've got the same book. I had 2 copies of it, actually. I sold one not so long ago, but I bought one raw, and it had a lot of rippling because of water damage, and I thought it would come back a very low grade. Sent it to my presser, and he got all the ripples out, and it came back at a 7.0, I think. So it got a massive boost. So you could get a huge boost from getting that pressed. But what I don't know is how much, if that score's going to have totally knacked it.
Yeah. So the thing is that if this was going to get cracked open and sent off, and it came back with a really impressive grade, if I found another one at a 3.0 or even a 2.5, I would probably sell this one at that higher grade, pocket some of the cash to buy another book, and then buy the replacement. Because again, for me, it isn't about having the highest grade. It's not about having the most money. It's about completing the collections. Now, granted, I am only 2 books away from my Amazing Spider-Man collection, so I don't really need to do that, which is why I've been so hesitant. But it was a thought that crossed my mind with this one and with my Spider-Man issue 300, first appearance of Venom. These are 2 books that I did think about. Would I sell them while they're at those high grades, buy lower grade copies for my own collection, and buy something else?
I think if I'm chucking my 2 pence in, I think I would be tempted to leave that as it is. I'd be too nervous of it ripping or tearing or something when you were trying to get it unslabbed. Yeah. And I guess, there's only really anybody that would check the notes that would even know that it was sliced in that way. You can see it a little bit, but it's not
it's not noticeable, and it's displayed beautifully on my wall. Again, I bought it slabbed for that reason. For one, getting it raw, it's anyone's guess as to what the price could be, and people were charging a small fortune for it even 3 years ago. Granted, it's gone up a lot more since then. I think £300 was an absolute steal for that book. But yeah, I only bought it slabbed so it could go on my wall of yellow. That's the only reason why.
I can't remember the grade of the one I've sold. I think it was either a 4.5 or a 5.5. But I bet you can't guess how much I paid for it, I think about 2 years ago.
No, go on, tell us.
I think it was around about £5. And that was because it was on an auction site, and I put in not an auction site, one of these things where the sell tickets, 30 people's tickets or whatever, and then they pull
like a tombola thing, And
I won it, and I nearly died when I won it, but yeah.
What a great book to get for that price.
Oh yeah. Yeah,
cool. So that is our episode of Oz with Flaws. So we're going to come back again next month and show some more. Peter, do you want to let everyone know where they can find you, because I know you've got an awful lot going on your channel?
So I'm over at Cgc Comics. We've got your usual unboxings. We've got some toy unboxings and comic unboxings. We've got a new series of spec videos which go out linked in with Luke's Just the Keys videos. And we've also got a number of live shows, again, that Luke features on. So we've got What If, and we've also got a new series called Boys and the Toys, which is out soon. So lots going on.
Cool. I can't wait to do that show. Boys with Their Toys, I'm really excited for. It's such a great concept, and I hope you guys do head on over, subscribe, and check it out. So, yeah, that's pretty much it. If you enjoyed this video, hit that like button, hit the subscribe button, and until next time, we'll see you in another life. Take care.
Bye now.